Welcome, everyone. This is Polly Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest and LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Edwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Killabathian,
Oh, hi. Welcome back, me.
and Krister.
Hello.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. And yes, welcome back to the living, Killabathian.
Yes. Though I must admit, I just went on LOTRO Players and saw the news, and there was something that said that the beacon is now gone indefinitely. And I'm like, what? I thought it was 6 months. I should never get sick if things just vanish like this.
Well, let's go and see what we have for our news this week. And we'll begin with update 32.0.6. We seem to be getting an update every week lately. And this was released on March 31st. And of special note, Honor is nearing Minas Morgul, and that will open up on April 13th with access to Minas Morgul and the War of Three Peaks and the Blood of Ozag. That means in 3 months they're going to be catching up with the main servers. We'll finally learn what happens when they catch up.
For a moment there, my whole still sick brain was horribly confused and was like, Honor is nearing Minas Morgul? And I was trying to wrap my head around that from like a LOTRO standpoint. Like, what?
Well, it's always been pretty close to it.
I'm like, hang on now. Hang on.
Just across the river. Yes, legendary items will have their maximum level increased to 429 at this, and the Minas Morgul instances will immediately become available up through Tier 5, with leading to charge deeds being available through May 12th, and the War of Three Peaks instances will be immediately available through Tier 2, with Tier 5 of those instances coming available on May 11th. The War of Three Peaks leading to charge deeds will be available through May 11th. From May 11th through June 15th, yes. The Fall of Khazad-dûm raid will be immediately available through Tier 2, with Tier 5 of the raid becoming available on June 1st. And the Fall of Khazad-dûm raid leading to charge deeds will be available to complete through June 1st through June 30th. And so that's quite a number of instances to keep up with. And also, we have the Valor 130 trait points minstrel item now gives the correct amount of class trait points and now stacks with previous Valor level boost 120 usage.
Well, that's good, because I know a lot of minis who were probably like, I've been cheated. Don't make a minstrel mad.
Yes.
They will sing songs about you in a bad way until you will be immortalized. And not in a good way.
Yes. So there's recent song has been I've been cheated, been mistreated. Yes.
Yes, or people by the name of Leland get songs written anyway.
All right. Let's then go into the Spring Festival where Bee's Big Business, the challenge Flower Power, and players can now complete the Small Fellowship and Fellowship versions of the quest on Legendary Worlds just in time for the final weekend of the festival. And challenge Bee's Big Business players can now complete the Small Fellowship versions of the deed in the Legendary Worlds.
Yes, they mentioned that, I think in Academy yesterday, that Bee's Big Business had a bug removed, which I was like, so they removed the bees?
I mean, I would hope they didn't mean that type of bug. And related to the fate of Gundabad, the hidden horde of Abnakara and Thrall Lord Dushka box attacks that can critical hit now deal 1.25x for a crit and 1.5 for a devastate, down from 1.5 and 2 respectively. And Shtavok's basic attacks have had their base damage variance lowered from 20% down to 10%. Combined with the change on critical hits, this should make the damage output more consistent and less spiky.
Hmm.
Did anyone notice that in last night's raid?
I noticed when he hit me a certain way, he one-shotted my butt and I died.
Well, that sort of goes counter to what I just read.
I still don't know what happened. If I may, because I mean, I was rezzed, so it couldn't have been the spikes right behind me that caught me and killed me. Because if that happens, you can't get rezzed. You're out for the remainder of the fight. And I was rezzed in the middle of the fight. So I don't know how he got me because I was pretty good with my hit points, and then all of a sudden, just boom, and I'm dead. And I'm like, what? Apparently, people can put cassowary in a corner. Not baby, but cassowary, definitely.
Right? And for the heirs of Thurstat Avalanche, there is now a 6-second delay before this skill applies after a player is marked. This should prevent scenarios where players cannot react to the mark before the skill is applied.
We mentioned that last night about Avalanche. Was that tier 2?
That's when you get the eye.
Okay.
So they were
And that's
asking how long the eyes last, and now we know how long the eyes last.
Hooray!
Yeah. And as for Blizzard, there is now a 6-second delay before this skill applies after a player is marked. This should prevent scenarios where a player cannot react to the mark before the skill is applied. Aura Brothers Protection. This aura applies to each of the ice giants. Aura Brothers Protection, the functionality has been adjusted by tier, starting at tier 3. Tier 3 should be slightly easier as a result. On tier 3,
I'm sorry.
Trekvig has an aura. On tier 4, Trekvig and Armad have the aura. And on tier 5, all three of them have the aura.
Tier 3 should be slightly easier as a result.
We couldn't even get through tier 2.
Did the giants get you, or did you get killed later?
Tier 2?
Oh, no, the giants got us.
The giants got you, yeah. Fangs of the Frostheart has had its base damage reduced slightly. And the translation for Map of Breetown has been corrected in French for the Spring Festival. And several spacing and typos relating to Thorin's Hall quest in Mirkwood have been corrected in German. And as for UI, the Legendary Items reward track now has a timer displaying the time remaining to claim earned rewards.
It's always nice to know.
All right.
Yeah, it still needs a button that takes you directly to your next reward to be claimed, so you don't have to try and slide to just the right spot.
Yeah, there is that little detail.
It's really annoying. Please fix it.
Now, what I found annoying is that when they updated Bowler, what they did is they updated the message that included the first round of betas instead of creating a new message. And as a result, I didn't realize that the servers were open until half an hour ago.
Oh.
So I didn't have a chance to go into Bowler this week.
So you didn't get a chance to go into the Yondershire.
Yeah. So let us see what has changed. Now, we have more class changes. This time, a large number of them relate to the Brawler and to the Lore Master. And a couple more tweaks relating to the Minstrel and Warden. So several classes got slight tweaks in there, but mainly the Brawler and the Lore Master. As I said, I'm reserving going over all the class changes until they've settled down, probably when they actually go live, unless someone really wants to talk about some of these. Then let's go into some quest and adventure area changes. In Gudabad in the Welkin Lofts of the instance The Tipping Point, they're correcting an issue where Gorgar's orcs were sometimes not appearing at the conclusion of the instance. And for the Hidden Horde of Abnakara, it looks like the changes there are basically the ones that went live on Thursday. So they were just testing those out a little bit early on Brawler. So as for miscellaneous changes, the subscriber buffs and town services item granted by the VIP Rewards daily quest will last 2 weeks instead of 2 days.
Oh, good.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
All right,
That is
that's
awesome.
a plus. Yeah, it does get annoying having is that if I have to log out for a couple of days in the middle of nowhere and do I really want to
Yeah, I
go
know.
back to Winda and then come back?
Gee, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Is it worth my time to go find a Wenda? I mean, I guess the alternative would be to put her in more areas.
Yes, but if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're probably not in a place where she's going to likely to be in any case.
No, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're probably still close to some sort of civilization hub. It's not like right now you either have to go to a housing area or you have to go to one of the starting areas to get to Wenda. So if you're like in the middle of nowhere in Rohan, you either have to go home or one of the baby starting areas, and trying to get back to Rohan if you don't have a milestone set is a pain in the butt. Whereas you could like go back to closest area with stable and stable to, I don't know, Edoras or something like that. Talk to Wenda and go back. Then you're just a worsty ride away from being back in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, isn't there the stable masters in the housing area? Don't they go to Snowborn or someplace like that? Not.
I don't know. Probably.
Okay.
But still, you have to go back to a housing neighborhood, which means you have to have a character who has a house. And on some servers, I don't have a house.
Oh, yeah, there is that detail.
Like, I don't have a personal house on Arkenstone.
Either. I have a warg.
And yeah.
You can't live in a warg. Well, you could, but it'd be
You
gross.
could, yeah, you could
Because
kind
they
of
still
mount a
haven't
tent on it.
They still haven't given us monster housing, which, by the way, I am still pushing for monster housing. I know I haven't talked about it in a while, but I'm still looking for my work den. It is a thing that I
Comes
would
with
very much like to have, especially
Especially
since
with a sofa
PvP
pit.
is
yes, sofa pits.
pits. Especially since PvP is broken enough that nobody's really playing out there right now. I can sulk in my work den.
On my sofa pit.
Yeah,
we get a
sulk in the work
doghouse.
den on the sofa pits.
When using the Flame of Alchemy, the confirmation dialog now correctly updates that it will deconstruct the entire stack of target items at once. You get the proper warning message there. All Relic of Gundabad items now correctly state that they are only sought after by the Joruka and cannot be used to advance other allegiances. And for Yondershire, they corrected a mistranslation of huge wings during the Thorns Hall quest log. And fixed.
What were they translating it into?
I have no idea.
I'm like, are they mistranslating it from like English to Sindarin or whatever, or is this like German or French or something?
I don't know, but then there are also several other typos that I will save to when they go live. And that concludes our Brawler update. So let's head into the store sales since, of course, we do not have a beacon for the next few months.
Or ever.
Or ever. Well, let's head into the store sales. So, Terry Adwin, what's on sale this week?
Well, our weekly coupon is a free 10% run speed boost times 5 with coupon code ONWEGO now through April 7th. Also through April 7th is 20% off select housing decorations, select housing sets, housing property writs, select cloaks, and this is the final weekend of the Spring Festival, which continues through April 5th. Get that fish slap now.
Yes, Morkinder has to get his fish slap
Max,
if he
max,
doesn't have
max.
one. He absolutely has to have one. If any of my characters have a fish slap other than my hobbits, it's got to be Morkinder.
Well, there is that. Well, let's then we look at Squirrel's little April Fool's article, which talked about a new official podcast to replace the other news outlets that are going silent for, well, I'd say the next few months, but Calabathian seems to have an impression that it's longer than that.
Yeah, well, it says the LOTRO beacon also getting postponed indefinitely. It's right there on the first line of Squirrels.
It's a April Fool's article.
Yes, but
Well,
it's part of an April Fool's article, so therefore you take anything in it with a heavy grain of salt.
I don't know, man. 6 months could be indefinitely. It's an awful long time.
Yes. We'll have
What
to see.
starts out as 6 months, suddenly you're there at 6 months and going, oh, hey, I need some more time. And, then the next thing you know, it's like 2 years down the road and you're wondering what has happened and where you are.
Well, I would say that such a scenario is not impossible. But we'll find out sometime. In any case, it talks about a new podcast and about a new wardrobe system, which I'm actually, in some ways, it sounds a lot like what is reality in ESO. Right? Because, with the virtual wardrobe system where you unlock them and looks instead of having pieces of clothing in a wardrobe.
I mean, since you can't trade pieces anymore, which I'm still aggravated about.
Yeah, there is that. But anyway, that's the little April Fool's joke that we had this year. So let's head into our weekend gaming. Calabathian, what were you up to?
Okay, weekend gaming, because I haven't really been up to much in the last week other than, trying to get better, feel better. But I got back into the thick of things by collecting stones with the Tuesday night group on Cassowary, literally crashing and burning on Tier 2 Hidden Horde on Friday night. And the crashing stuff, oh my gosh, the lag.
Oh, that was bad.
Lag. They have got to fix that. That is like a crime against humanity, an affront to the gods or something. That lag was bad. I'm pretty sure that some of us actually died because of lag. And if you know what I'm talking about there. It's not anyway. And then, burning, of course, it's actually more like freezing because it's all snowy. But, Tier 2 is no joke. And we had some strange problems with Tier 1 after that. But anyway, totally found out on Tier 1 that, I don't know if it glitched out or what, but yeah, Durin is a tough little dwarf. Holy cow. Anyway, and reminding myself and everyone else reminding themselves on Friday with the Academy that skirmishing is not allowed in the Bjorning house, and you must flee the area first before you can join into any skirmishes or instances. It won't let you do it. You have to get out of bounds, and then suddenly it's like, travel now. Oh, okay, well. I also wanted to create a high elf brawler because the thought is hilarious. This also came from conversations during the Academy on Friday about how, brawlers, and high elves, brawlers are trailer park champions, and high elves are all hoity-toity, and all graceful supposedly, and can you just imagine a high elf throwing a mug of anything other than some kind of fancy wine at somebody? And it wouldn't be a mug, it'd be like some kind of a crystalline vase, like goblet or something of wine. So I'm going to have to do that, just for the fun of it. And then earlier tonight, right before the podcast, I was actually looking on Parfait-Helen for the Sindarin word for fist, like a clenched fist for a brawler, and discovered it's pretty much my offline name. And now I'm just cackling because I can actually play a high elf brawler female that looks like me with my name offline. I'm gonna do it. And on ESO, I joined in with Jesterfest 2022, aka the Jesters Festival, for the first time. And I am now a Lady of Misrule, complete with pies to fling at people. And they've been flinging them at me every time they see me. I've been wearing my little crown in game, and apparently people see me and fling a pie at me, and I'm like, everybody else is wearing their crowns. Why aren't you flinging pies at them? So yes, it's actually very interesting, and I'm having lots of fun with the pranking and stuff. So, Krister, how about you? How was your week?
Well, last night, of course, we had our bitter defeat at T2, but then we had our bizarre victory on T1.
We snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, aka Kreenil. But anyway.
Yeah, and so last night, my best moment in that raid was a perfect example of how karma works in my life. And so when we'd first done the Hidden Horde raid, one of our fellow kinmates, who is a lore master, did not have his pet set on passive. And so when we would go, I know what it is now. It's because you get that that permanent dot once you cross the line, where we all go into combat, we get that little puff. Well, that's why if the pet's not passive, the pet will go right up and attack the frost.
Frostgrim?
Yeah, the Frostgrim at that point. So that's what happened. So infamously, his pet, after we got done fighting the things on the ground, went upstairs and immediately pulled the next round while we were all just in shock. And so we fought, and I was on him. I was on him so much about, you need to know how to manage your pet. You need blah, blah, blah. Just giving him so much crap about it. Well, last night, of course, we get done with that combat at the ground floor, and who do I see? My pet fly up the stairs and pull the next group. I didn't have my pet on passive, but I was just about to give my fellow kidmate a bunch of crap for his pet not being on passive.
You right when my pet shot up.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally the most perfect timing I could have imagined for me to stick my foot directly in my mouth and fail miserably. So that was, I think that's what led us to victory, frankly. The sacrifice of my ego, my competence. But in the end, we did have victory, and we all got some boots and some shiny baubles. So that was ultimately a good run there.
Yes. I kind of like how you were in the process of saying something along the lines of, and you need to keep your pet and blah, blah, blah. And I think that last little bit was the sound of your foot entering your mouth so that you could chew on it.
Yeah, I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned to see my pet in motion. Because I very rarely have him off passive. So
what was funnier was when we finally got up to the ice cream, the lore master pet was up there, and Krister started to say something, and I'm like, no, because I just watched Lucky after we killed everything else go up the slope.
I was like, oh yeah, hey, wait a sec, yeah, it was the lore master's pet, wasn't it? But Terry forced me to tell the truth.
In a rare moment of actually being able to keep track of stuff going on in the raid, I actually happened to see the little polar bear go scrambling up the slope because it was really cute.
It is the funniest thing to see this tiny baby polar bear tanking better than a lot of us. It's like, dude, he can handle this all on his own.
That specific Lore Master Pet has stood me up on many occasions in raids and picked up because I blew it, and yeah, so I've had to suffer quite a bit because of Lucky. So
Now you get to suffer a little bit more. Chew on
exactly.
that foot wisely. Would you like some salt with that crow?
I so deserved it too. It was just so wonderful how thoroughly I deserved that happening to me as well. And then in ESO, Cord is just this absolute blender. Basically, the more people he's engaged in combat with, the merrier it is, because his AoE blast effects are dependent on how many people are around him. And the experience is just a river. So he is past 600 CP now, and I've been going out to Craglord and going into the group areas and just harvesting souls. And boy, it's just been so much fun. He's just this blast. He's just a bomb. He just explodes over and over and over again, and picks up loot. So so that's been a blast. And then me and my nephew played Civ 6, and he had all the DLCs, and I realized I hadn't had all of them. So I bought the pass that gave me all kind of the sub DLCs, like the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the Armageddon or Apocalypse mode, I think. It had a bunch of like game factors you could turn on and off, and Apocalypse was one of them, where comets will hit and everything will get worse and worse and worse, and eventually if you don't do anything, the Earth will just simply die.
Gathering Storm, I think, is that expansion.
Okay, yeah, so that was really cool and interesting, so I'm looking forward to playing one of those. And then I re-upped my Minecraft Realm server, and I am going to invite the LPN group that plays Minecraft to see if they want to check it out. And so that's how my week went. Pretty good, pretty decent week. So, Sans, how about you?
Well, my week was pretty busy with real life, but I killed many things on Tuesday night after discovering the true danger of jumping from heights. So while we were waiting to gather everybody, and it took like an hour, I started trying to find things to jump off of, and I realized that the red circle was really close to the stable master where we needed to be. So I was finding the tallest things and trying to jump off into the lake below. And of course, every jump was killing me. And it was glorious. Like, you fly for a few seconds, you go back to the red circle, find a different point to jump from, and die again. And I had this idea. We were in the... Where were we? What was that place? I don't know. It's like a giant cave. I think it would be really fun to fly around. And I'm jumping off, and I'm trying to hit this dwarf boat that's in the water to see if, like, I can click on it on the way down before I die, and what will happen. And it just keeps saying, out of reach, out of reach, out of reach. So I'm just trying different angles. And I discovered the true danger of jumping from heights is only breaking your leg and then having to figure out how to actually get back to where you were supposed to be. So, yes. The true danger of jumping from heights is survival, I have decided.
Just living.
Yes.
I was thinking about that now that you're saying it again. Couldn't you have just desperate flighted? Wouldn't that take you to the red circle?
That would. I just had to find the desperate flight button and decided to find the red circle the long way instead. But yeah, that would have worked too. It only works once every 30 minutes though, so I always end up saving it and then never using it, except that I've used it a couple times trying to actually set a campfire, which is embarrassing. Which is why I can't find it easily on my bars, because I moved it and hid it. And then we ran around and we killed lots of things. I moved through several areas, so that was fun. And in Final Fantasy XIV, Amalora Swift-Storm has now unlocked many jobs and is eager to be able to ride mounts. She's keeping pace with M's character, though. But we've done several of the dungeons together with some friends, and it's been a lot of fun. I just wish there was a way to go faster. And today I discovered the equivalent of an aria, and it is so tempting. And I have a Sans Winda Swiftstorm. I could just aria her, and it would be so much fun. And I'm trying to talk myself out of it, and I've succeeded so far today, but we'll see how long.
But Sans, it's so easy and convenient.
It looks so easy and convenient. Have you done it, Krister?
I cheat all the time. It's wonderful. Cheating is a gift man gives himself. So
that doesn't actually answer the question, but and it comes in two parts. So, like, I could just level one class to 80, or I could like level one class and the main story. I'm just saying, it's very tempting. And then in ESO, I realized that the Jester Festival was on, so I jumped in to do some Jester Festival stuff earlier today. And remembered why I was so frustrated, because I have no inventory space and my bank is full and all of my chests in my house are full, and it's really annoying. But my Jester outfit and costume and my unicorn were all waiting for me, and I had a lot of fun before I ran out of inventory space. And that was my week. How was your week, Terry?
My week was not bad. I also accomplished more story on Tuesday, and Terry Adwin got some use out of her newly acquired fish slap emote. I finally broke down and got Terry the fish slap, and then I promptly used it on Durin because dwarves. Also, we had a story moment where I said, I knew it! Because I totally knew it was coming. And then we slapped the dwarf some more. And then I also joined the tier 2 raid last night and got to do a lot of dying gloriously. It was fun. And then I did more dying in tier 1, actually. For some reason, I ended up under the dragon and she breathed on me and I died. Yeah. And
we learned from that, though. We learned
from that that the tank needs to be in melee range.
Exactly.
So that everybody doesn't get one-shotted breathed on. Yeah, because when she's doing like 1.6 million damage and your morale, even boosted to the max, is only like 955,000. It's a little depressing. I mean, it's heartening to see the boosted morale at 955,000. That was cool. But yeah, then she did 1.6 million damage, and it's like, well, thanks for that. And then I'm still playing like way too much Craft the World, mostly because I don't have to really think about it. I could just kind of put myself on autopilot and do it. But I'm trying to try out some new stronghold builds, because I have a tendency to just build my fortress the same way for the dwarves. But I'm in the underground realm, and one of the DLCs that I have for Craft the World makes it so that at certain levels, once you start digging deep enough, these little kraken tentacles will start spawning. And the way I typically build, I tend to build down, and if I build like that in the underground realm, I end up with tentacles in my house, which is not necessarily where you want them to spawn, because the house is supposed to be a safe place for the dwarves. So I was building more sideways than downwards, and it's been difficult. And of course, as you dig, if you dig deeper, the tentacles start to get longer. So I'm actually deep enough now that they take up 3 spaces. They'll actually pop up 3 spaces, and when they pop, if they pop from under the ground, they take out the chunks of earth to either side. So basically, it opens up a massive hole in the ground, which can be problematic if you have equipment running, building bridges, and then all of a sudden the bridge gets like destroyed. Yeah, so challenges for Craft the World that I'm trying to overcome, but I'm not sure if I'm going to finish digging down to kick the Kraken's butt, or if I will just. I found all the Guardians, so I might just fix the portal and go to the next place. Depends on how much patience I have left. And that was my week. How about you, Pine?
My brawler managed to get a war steed today. So now I have a war steed, but I'm level 74, which means I don't have any war steed skills at all. I don't get those until I hit 75.
Uh-huh.
So I can't see what it's like to actually use the brawler ones. So I'm expecting that maybe sometime during the next week I will get up to level 75 and be able to actually learn what the brawler skills are on the war steed and what I can do with them, which is probably not going to be much when you consider that there aren't any bridles and all. So I just get into the beginning of that. Over in ESO, I finished up Somerset, and this is something that was a long time coming because I had paused doing Somerset and was doing all sorts of other things around. And finally trying to clear out my quest logs so that it would be cleaned up by the time the release of the next expansion comes. So I was trying to finish up Somerset, and I learned why I had stopped doing Somerset for a while, and that is because my next quest I need to do asked me to go into Kernwaston, which is a group dungeon, and not a group, no, a public dungeon. And I'm going in there and saying, all right, how long would it take me to be beaten up to a pulp? Maybe it's possible that Bastion could help me to get through it. So I summoned Bastion and went inside. And I learned that that between having Bastion along and the fact that I'm at level cap and have a few hundred champion points, that I was actually able to beat a 2-pip boss, which I didn't realize I could do that until this time, but I was able to do that, and I managed to kill 3 of the bosses inside Kernwaston so I could complete the achievement for completing that dungeon in there. I also managed to finish that quest, plus one other quest that was given on the outside of it. So that was good. So I managed to get through there. And after that, I thought, am I able to do a geyser? So I went to a geyser. Now, it so happened that the geyser I chose was the Sunhold Geyser, and the Sunhold Geyser has a 2-pip boss. And now, of course, I just did Kernwaston without any trouble with the 2-pip boss, so I was able to actually get through that geyser. Now, when I did that, I did that right after doing an investigation quest that was related to geysers, and what that did is that unlocked a daily quest where you're supposed to defeat 3 geysers in there. So I went out there, all right, I once again took care of the Sunhold Geyser, then I went to 2 others. And it turns out that those other geysers have 3-pip bosses. And boy, it takes a long time fighting a 3-pip boss. I think that battle was going for 5 minutes, and that's when somebody else finally arrived to help me finish it off. So I would say it probably would taken me 10 minutes in order to get through there, but it's amazing that I lasted 5 minutes against a 3-pip boss out there because I was expecting that one to end horrendously. All right. So I got through there. I also went into Sunhold, which is the other public dungeon inside the area, and went through Sunhold. And I finished up all the quest lines in Somerset. So after that, I decided, how far can I get in Splinter Clutch? And I managed to actually get all the way through Splinter Clutch without getting killed. And so I had a little interesting time. I'm sure Sans would not want to go in there alone. But anyway, so I went in there. So just Bastion and I, so I can't say I soloed it since I had Bastion along, but I did manage to get all the way through Splinter Clutch. without any other players in there. I have not tried any other dungeons this way, but I suspect that since Splinter Clutch is a Glen Umbra dungeon, it's probably Splinter Clutch 1. It's probably the easiest dungeon that there is. So I'm pretty sure that if I tried that on one of the more recent dungeons, it would just turn into a little squash fest. But it's interesting to be able to get through a dungeon all by myself.
I see what you did there, Pine. Squash Fest, Spindle Clutch.
Yeah. And after going through all there, I eventually wound up starting Deadlands. I said, oh, that's right, because there was an endeavor where we were supposed to be finding two of those, oh my goodness gracious, those antiquities. You were supposed to find two antiquities in there, and I happened to have a antiquities in the Deadlands that was going to expire in 2 days. So I thought, okay, I better go in there and use that as look at those two antiquities in the Deadlands to go into there. And for some reason, when the Deadlands came out, I didn't even realize that there was a real zone. I thought it was just all about those portals coming up and you getting into there and finding those super deadly battles in there. And I didn't realize that there was actually a storyline zone that came out with it. So I finally found that out, and I started the storyline zone. You say, well, why am I starting a new storyline if I'm trying to clear out my quest log? And that's because that's the most recent content to be released. So I think I better also clear that out before the release of the next expansion. But yes, that is. So I was quite busy in all of that. And I also was playing a new tabletop board game that came out and that just came out called Dead Reckoning, where I was going through there, sailing the seas, let's say, doing piratical things and fighting other pirates and stuff like that. And that concludes my weekend gaming. So let's head into News Beyond LOTRO, where Darren Loremaster has his third wallpaper for Minas Honor. Our top supporter this month is LOTRObuild.com. LOTRObuild.com is a collection of full LOTRO databases that includes an items database, a relics database, and a titles database. You could use it right from your Discord server with the LOTRObuild bot. We currently have 15 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, you could go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money would be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And we do not have any emails this week. If you'd like to send one, you can send it to podcast@lotrplayers.com. You can also have Twitter. The Players Alliance @Players Ally, Loach Players @Loach Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf Needles, Senswinda @Senswinda, Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin, Guarendis @Guarendis, and Calabathian @Calabathian. And Krister, what are you doing this week?
Ignoring
us. That's what he's doing. He is stalking Duran. That's what he's doing.
There we go.
Yes, the Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturday, 30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can join us for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for night. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.